Hi, welcome to Tammy's Tiny Tots Reborn. It is Fashion Friday, and I haven't even decided what I'm going to put on her yet. I will look through a thing of clothes while I talk because there's a comment was made on yesterday's video about scammers, and I want to address the comment. And it's a good comment. It's not a bad comment, and I'm not being mean about it or anything like that. But I want to explain the answer to that comment. So someone commented that people should be allowed to buy what they want in regards to the scamming sites, being there. And I 100% I agree. You're right. People should be able to buy what they want. And so my answer to that question was, yes, people should be allowed to buy what they want, and I don't disagree with that. But here's the situation we could find ourselves in a few years down the road, is if these sculptors are getting their work stolen, these sculptors might decide to stop sculpting. There's two ways they could stop sculpting in vinyl reborns. Is one, they'll stop sculpting vinyl reborns altogether and only sculpt and pour in silicone, which is one way to stop the kits from being stolen, is by no longer making reborn kits and only sculpting a baby and having it cast in silicone instead. I'm just trying to find an outfit here. I know what I'm putting on her. There we go. We're going to put this nice warm outfit on. It's cold as heck here. We're going to put this on her today. So, take off your Halloween. So, if our sculptors decide they don't like having their work stolen, and they decide, oh, well, I'm going to, there's a hanger for her outfit she's wearing. They decide, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to bother sculpting anymore. That could be the first answer, is I'm just not going to sculpt at all anymore. I'm done. They keep stealing my work, and I can't stop them, so I'm going to just quit and not do it anymore. That is the one avenue a sculptor could take. Second avenue a sculptor could take in that regard could be that they would decide to only sculpt and pour in silicone. And then only people that would be able to afford to buy dolls would be those that have the patience to save up for a really long time, or those that have just a larger budget to be able to spend on their dolls because they've work or have enough savings or whatever it might be, who knows, or they just have a better job than me. For me, only way I am able to buy silicones is on payment plans, because I don't have a lot of money. Yes, I have a lot of reborn dolls and my collection is huge, but I have built this collection up over 4 years. This is 4 years of me reborning dolls, selling dolls, and making enough money to purchase the reborn dolls that I have purchased. And it took a long time to get here, 4 years. Not everyone has that kind of patience to want to wait 4 years to be able to, it's only been in the last year that I've been able to buy silicones. Well, I bought my first silicone, I think 2 years ago. And she was a pretty baby, like lovely painting and everything, but she was not, of high quality, I guess you would call it, high end, whatever you would call it. The kit had flaws, but before the artist got a hold of it, like had some major flaws, and so on and so forth. But then I, worked my way, sold that baby, bought another baby with that money and the money from the sale and from making more babies to sell and stuff. Like, I had to slowly work my way up to buying a silicone because they are so expensive. And I just would hate to see more of our favorite sculptors deciding to only sculpt in and then pour in silicone, because then all the people that like being able to buy dolls, at $200-300, well, between the 300 and the 400 spot is where my dolls are range. But to be able to buy those kinds of dolls, there wouldn't be any more. They'd other than the fake ones. And I mean, the fake ones they've only reproduced certain kits. So if there's no more kits for them to, steal, then they'll stop producing new babies as well, because the artists aren't sculpting them anymore. So that is my reason why. Yes, you're more than welcome to buy whatever you want. But the reason I say not to buy the fakes, even though, that might be financially more in your budget, which I totally understand. But like for me, I had to, when I first started collecting, sorry about my nails, guys. They look horrible and I don't have any nail polish remover. So, these dolls that are being, being reproduced are just the same sculpts, and they're not nearly as detailed. Like, for instance, like, look at this baby, for instance, the detail that's on, that she has. The babies, those $100 babies and stuff are nowhere near the detail that these Reborns by an actual artist have, because they're produced through a machine. They're not produced where somebody's taking the time and giving the baby individuality and uniqueness and making it look totally unique. So, anyway, but my reasoning behind saying that you shouldn't buy the fakes is because if we support the fakes, we could end up pushing our sculptors to stop sculpting the beautiful babies that they sculpt all the time out of pure frustration. And I support our sculptors. That's where I stand on it. I support our sculptors because our sculptors are the ones that create these beautiful kits, these beautiful babies. And without our sculptors' talents, we wouldn't have these beautiful babies at all. We wouldn't. And that, to me, is a good enough reason right there to not support the fakes. But if we don't support the fakes and we don't buy the fakes, then we won't be encouraging them to want to steal artists' hard work. And by buying them, we're encouraging the artists or the thieves to do what they're doing. So I just stand with our sculptors. That's where I stand. I stand to protect our sculptors' hard-earned hard work. Like, sculpting a doll is not an easy thing. One, you have to have the talent. Two, you have to all the work that goes on, hours and hours, painstaking hours of molding and crafting and having your work all of a sudden crack because it's clay, right? And having it crack, and then you have to kind of backtrack and fix this and fix that, and then you get that problem fixed, and then you find another problem arises later on while you're sculpting, and it's all just a real challenge to be a sculptor, and not everyone has that talent, and we need to support those wonderful artists that are putting their heart and their soul and part of them into each and every baby that they make and they sculpt. I know my friend Natalie Scholl, she puts so much of herself into those dolls and all that work, and I know she would be absolutely devastated if someone was to steal her work, And we need to support these artists, these sculptors that make these kits for us, Without the person who sat there for hours sculpting these hands and sculpting these heads and these legs out of clay. So many hours go into that. And so many boo-boos and recorrections and everything else. It goes so much work for a sculptor to make one of these babies. And by buying the fakes, we are telling the sculptor, I don't care about you. I don't care that you spent months sculpting that head and face. I don't care that you spent months sculpting those limbs. It's okay that somebody went and stole your work and is reproducing it and selling it cheaper. It's okay, because I don't care about you. I don't care where you get your money from, but I want you to sit at home and I want you to sculpt. But who cares if you make money? Would you go to work every day and not make money? No, you wouldn't. Nobody would go to work every day and not make any money, because that's not what we wouldn't survive. You can't pay your bills with no money. Yes, we do volunteer. Everyone likes to volunteer, but our volunteer is only a few hours of a week. It's not our whole life, in a sense. And some of our sculptors and some of artists, I'm not an artist that, this is a job for me, or I'm trying to support a family, but there are some sculptors and some artists that are trying to support families. And these sculptors work hard to get these sculpts and then have them stolen. We're just telling, and by us buying those stolen sculpts, we tell them, you know what, I really like your baby there. I'm gonna use a name, Bonnie Brown. I really, really like your Levi kit. It's gorgeous. But instead of buying it from you so that you can survive, because you're the one that made it, and I'm not gonna buy the kit from you, I'm gonna go buy a stolen version of your kit instead, because it's cheaper. But please don't stop sculpting. Don't stop making new babies, because, I'll want to buy them too at some point. But please keep on sculpting and keep making babies. But, I'm going to still buy them off the black market and rip you off, you won't make any money off of it. That's where it is, how the sculptors are feeling. And we have to support our sculptors, or our sculptors will stop sculpting. That is a total 100% fact. If our sculptors keep getting their stuff stolen and reproduced by companies, then they're going to stop sculpting. Plain and simple. They'll stop sculpting. And then we won't have any sculpts to buy anymore. We'll be stuck with just the babies that are out now. And not that there's anything wrong with the kits that are out there now, but you can only have so many of one kit in your collection, right? We like our collections to be diverse. None of us collect only Levi's. There may be somebody. I shouldn't say none of us, but most of us don't just collect one baby. We collect different babies, different styles, different sizes, in our collections. Different genders, we like them as a girl or as a boy, rooted, not rooted. Some kits have beautiful heads that, don't need to be rooted. They're gorgeous bald. So we all want those new kits to come out so we can keep building our collections. And if they stop, we won't have those anymore. So the way I look at it is support the sculptors by not buying the fake kits. And I understand every person should be allowed to buy what they want to buy, but every person should also be educated in what they're buying, of what it might affect. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just educate everyone in regards to the fact that if we don't support our sculptors, they will stop sculpting. It's just like the opposite of, if you build it, they will come. If you buy it, they will stop. Right? And we need to think of that. And we need to support our sculptors, because our sculptors are the ones that make the things we want to collect. And if the sculptors stop, the kits stop. And if the kits stop, there's no more to collect. And just like Pokemon, we all just gotta have them all. One of every kit. So that is what I was trying to get across yesterday. I wasn't telling people where they should spend their money or how they should spend their money by any means. Buy what you want to buy, but just understand what you're buying, what kind of tidal wave it could cause. It's just the same as if we remove an animal from our ecosystem, the ecosystem becomes affected by that animal's disappearance. Well, if our sculptors all disappear, we will all be affected by it in the end. It won't happen overnight. It won't happen right away. It'll be a slow, steady Peter, where we just lose sculptor after sculptor after sculptor after sculptor that decide, you know what, I'm going to get out of Reborn dolls, period, and I'm going to do something else. And then, bam, here we go. We're all stuck with no more new kits to make, because we did it ourselves by buying the fake kits and putting our sculptors out of business. Literally, we put our little men and women out of business. It's just like a main street when an but a business place opens up. Walmart and all these other stores end up opening up in a big plaza area just outside of the town, on the outskirts of the town, and their main street of their town dies. It's the same scenario will happen with our sculptors. All our sculptors are those little businesses on that main street of that little town. And because Walmart and all the big box stores opened up just a little bit outside of town, but close enough that it's not going to affect anyone that much, the main street dies. And all the main street businesses board up their windows and close up shop, because they can't outwin the big box stores. So that's what we be doing to our sculptors by buying the fakes. And I'm not saying, that you should be shamed for buying the fakes, or you should be picked on by buying the fakes. No one should pick on someone because they bought fakes. No one should shame them because they bought fakes. We need to educate why it's not okay to buy the fakes. Not that it's not okay, but why we shouldn't. Why we should try our, even if it means we have to wait another month to get our doll, or 2 months to get our doll, and save and get the real thing, over buying a stolen sculpt that's way cheaper. So it's all in what we want. Do we want our sculptors to keep on sculpting? Do we want to be able to still purchase Reborn dolls and Reborn doll kits? If the answer is yes, then we need to support our sculptors. Plain and simple. We need to support our sculptors. And if our sculptors are being ripped off, we need to have our sculptors' backs and protect our sculptors from being ripped off. And the best way to protect our sculptors from being ripped off is by not buying the ripped off product that our sculptors are being affected by. It's just logical. Anyway, I hope I haven't made any enemies with this topic, but it's important that we support our our local, or not local, but our original sculptors and our original artists that create these wonderful babies that we turn into this. You know, these are just a blank sculpt that someone's sat for hours and hours sculpting these little ears and sculpting this little shaped nose and sculpting this chin and all the little creases. And, you know, somebody sat there and did that for hours and hours on end. And that's the person we need to support when we're buying these dolls, is the person that originally created this beautiful baby for us artists to turn them into gorgeous babies to look at. Anyway, everyone, I hope I clarified a little question in regards to that. So if anyone has any other questions, if I can answer them, I'll try. I'm not trying to be mean to anyone. I'm not trying to single out anyone in particular. I just want everyone to be informed and understand why we all need to pull together in this community and support our sculptors. Period. Support our sculptors. All right, everyone, hit that like if you like this video. Hit that dislike if you didn't, because that's okay too. But most of all, stay safe and smile, and share a smile with a friend. Bye-bye.